So I'll welcome Derek Anderson and Arzish, who is also the CEO of Ijad Labs. And he's also the country manager in Pakistan for the startup grind that they're going to talk about. So welcome.
Good morning.
Hi, everyone. So,
Thanks for having me.
no, thank you for joining. So it feels like Derek is dressed as Bay Area and I'm dressed as Pakistan. So this is a very cool.
This was intentional.
Yeah, I think now it was like even the sneakers and everything. It's super cool. So
No. I'm sorry. I am coaching a baseball game in like 30 minutes, so I am dressed for baseball, not for this incredible tech conference. But hopefully, you will not completely just If you walk out, I understand. It's okay.
No, we won't. And you'll be free before 30 minutes. So thank you for joining us. And why this fireside is super fun and important for me personally is because I run Startup Grind in Pakistan, and 5 years ago I joined like the Islamabad chapter. It's an amazing global community, and I'll give you the opportunity to kind of talk more detail about it. But I feel I credit all of this, the connection that we have been trying to build with Silicon Valley or the community building stuff and all of that to me joining Startup Grind and kind of learning, why is it important to kind of do these events, bring people together, connect, educate, and all of the things that we preach for. And I think since 2018, we have been coming and attending the Startup Grind conference with very large groups, and you've been a wonderful, wonderful host. And hopefully you'll also visit Pakistan and join us there to see how we do things there. But yeah, if we can just start with, because a lot of people may not know about Startup Grind. So what is Startup Grind, and importantly, why did you start it?
Startup Grind is a global community connecting startups and entrepreneurs. We've hosted events in more than 150 countries and almost 1,000 cities. It started as just a meetup just right down the street from here at my little office. And we were building a product, and we started hosting these events, and no one, hey guys, how are you? And no one liked the product we were building, but they loved the events. And it was like, oh, okay, we'll do more events. And so we started doing them. We kept doing them every month. And, it just kept growing. And it was very small, and then it got bigger and bigger. And then people would attend and say, hey, I love the values of this community. I love this community. And I'm like, what do you mean? And we articulated those values of giving more than you take, helping others before you help yourself, and making friends. And so people started seeing that, and they said, oh, I want to be part of that. And so we said, okay, so why don't you start a chapter? And so we started chapters all over the world. And, actually our chapter, one of our chapters in Pakistan, in Karachi, was one of our first 50 chapters. It's like, what, we have a chapter in Karachi, but we don't have one in New York City. It's kind of crazy. And so anyways, this just continued to grow. Today, we have over 600 chapters. We, do several hundred events a month, and where we bring people together and try to help each other.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, thank you so much for kind of creating this opportunity for all of us to connect. The way you started Startup Grind, did you ever imagine that it would become such a global phenomenon now in 600 cities, 125 countries?
People say, when you start a company, how many people in here have started a company at some point? Okay, almost the whole room. People say a lot of times, oh, it's like your baby. So I have three of my four children in the back. So, I told them they can't use the iPad during this talk. They have to listen to Arzish because he's so smart. And but Startup Grind is not actually like a baby to me. It's like the friend that always gives you more than you give them. It always brings more to me than I can give it. And so it's all upside. It's all house money. It's the gambling phrase. I don't gamble, but it's house money. I'm playing with gains, So if it went away tomorrow, I would be grateful for what I had with it. It's incredible, but it just keeps going. And It's been a really fun to be part of it. Actually, we used to host our events in here. We had these big events in this space. I love this room. And it's actually, this stage is, it's really, you think about like, this is very off topic, but you think about like things you keep like from your, I don't know if like your grandparents or your parents, things you keep from them, like my grandmother bought me Jordans when I was 8 years old. And that's always meant something to me. And I have a pair that she bought me. I still have them in my office right next to me. And not the same pair but a new pair. But it's like these things like connect us, right? Like these objects or these things that connect us to people in different times in history. And this room and this stage even is so important. The people that have spoken on this stage, the stories that have been told in this room are just unbelievable. And I have watched them for years, and I have been here. And so it's, hopefully a moment for all of you, whether you're visiting from, overseas or whether you live here. I know for me, this is not like a church or anything, but or a synagogue or anything, but there is something very special about this place. And I'm just very grateful to be able to live here, and just lucky. I mean, I feel very lucky to just have fallen into tech. I mean, how lucky are all of us to be here? Like, where else could we be? I was in Egypt like 6 weeks ago, and Egypt's a wonderful place. I have a team over there that works with me, and but it just made me so grateful for the things that I have, and just that all of us are here is just it's a huge blessing that we get to be here.
Wow, that's such a positive outlook at life. So Startup Grind has now helped build startup communities, not just in the Bay Area where you started from, but everywhere around the world. How do you think, why do you think it's important, and kind of what steps can we take this is the Pakistan Tech Summit, take Pakistan to the next level?
Well, the biggest thing that we've seen in building ecosystems and building good communities is that people that have a give first mentality, that don't think like you're very much like this, more so than almost anyone in the world I've met. Like, you're constantly giving and helping. And you're not just giving to people locally, you're giving to us here in the States, Like, you bring so much to our community. What you do is inspiring to me. And so, like, we need, like, I think of opportunity is like this well that just keeps running over of water. Like, you can take as much of that as you want, and there's always more. And so when I see someone that has success, even if it's some competitors I'm not as excited about, I'll be honest. But even some competitors, at the entrepreneur, at the founder level, I am happy for them, because their success does not take from me or my family. There's too much success to go around. And so what we need in communities is people like you. Sorry, COVID, you shouldn't be getting so animated. I need to go like this. You have to have people like you and others that like are really giving, and see it as like, we're going to grow the pie together and everyone's going to win, because that's actually what happens.
Wow, thank you so much for all the support. So now Startup Grind is in the time of this transition where you're starting this DAO. So maybe talk about like what brought you to this. How does like the DAO look like, and what's next for this, like the world's largest network of entrepreneurs?
How many people here are doing something in Web3? How many people, keep your hands up, how many people are trying to figure out Web3? Okay, how many people are like, don't really have any, like, are really feel behind? Okay, me too. So, like, I'll be honest, like, a lot of the Web3 things have not resonated with me personally. I'm like very much like a Web 1.5 person, and I'm trying to catch up. And but when I started hearing about DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations, and you've probably read about some of these, whether it was the group that attempted to buy the copy of the U.S. Constitution, or different groups that have popped up to, to do certain activities or fund certain things. It's really where a community helps not only fund, but also participate in, reap the rewards, have a say in what happens. And that a DAO is essentially what Startup Grind is. And when people would ask me, like, well, what is Startup Grind? Well, legally, it's a Delaware C Corp. Well, why would you do that? It's like an impact. But I would say, but it's an impact company. So, well, why would you do that? I say, well, like, we're trying to teach people how to run a good business. Most nonprofits are not good businesses. It seemed hypocritical not to run a business. And so, but a DAO actually makes so much more sense. If it's kind of hard to do now, to switch it to a DAO. But if I were starting it today, it would be a DAO. And so what we've done is we've decided, we have created a DAO, and what we're doing with that is to fund and support startups. We've helped thousands of startups over the years. We do thousands of investor introductions a year. We don't take any equity. We really believe founders should protect their equity like gold. That's what it is, especially in the beginning, because it can go very quickly. And so we haven't done that, but people keep asking, can you do more? Can you do more? And so we've created this vehicle to be able to make a few dozen investments a year and really, really help those companies. And then the proceeds, the profits, will be distributed not just amongst us or amongst a few like very already wealthy people or endowments, but anybody that wants to participate in it. And that feels like the future of venture capital to me. I think like where one person invests $50,000 into Uber and they make $100 million, that doesn't feel like the purpose of capitalism to me. That feels like a loophole. And so I think venture capital in the future is going to look more like what we're doing with the DAO than how it has looked in the past.
Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. The timekeeper has shown me a sign, but I'll still I'll ask you my last question, which is, you run another company which you started because of your journey with Startup Grind, which is Bevy. So for the audience, what does Bevy do, and how did you come to start another thing, and now you run two things in parallel, and both of them are doing like amazing?
I just realized that you can see the baseball I took to my ankle here the other day. Can you see that? That's so you know I'm actually a real coach. I'm pitching. I'm doing it. We built this software for Startup Grind to be able to scale the community. We couldn't find any tools that existed, and then it worked. And so we started trying to show it and use it for other people, and they liked it, and it worked for them. And so we had Salesforce and Atlassian and others sign up for it. And so we spun it out into a new company about 4 years ago, 5 years ago this summer. We raised $1 million originally. We raised more rounds. We've now raised about $60 million. And the whole goal is to just help people learn what we learned creating the Startup Grind community and to create that within other organizations. And so things like the Trailblazer community or Google developer groups or many other brands use Bevy to power their programs. And it feels like a way to take what we learned and like really like have it be exponential impact with millions of other people. It's really incredible to work with them and to be able to have some small part of what they're doing. And building community, I think, is more important than ever, more needed than ever. People are more lonely now than they've been in the history of the world. There's a book called The Lonely Century, and go read it. The stats are. It was like this before COVID. Now after COVID, think about yourself. Like I have 4 kids. I have like lots to do. There's like lots of people around. I'm as lonely as I've ever been. This isn't a cry for help. I'm okay. But I think we can
we are
all
helping.
relate in some way. Mo's my friend here. He keeps me busy on WhatsApp. Like, you know, we need to find something we can connect to, and communities, I think, are maybe the best way to do that.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for kind of sharing your vision and starting this and enabling a lot of people like me, like Mo here does it in Jordan, and all our friends here around the world. And then we gather here every year to celebrate and then connect with each other. We have our own little community. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.